And also check out patreon.com/BigVMafia. I am Virtue from Painesville, Ohio, while Big Vito LaGrasso is down there from Central Florida. What's up?
How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's having a great day. You know what? It is cold everywhere. It's even cold here in Florida. I cannot go to my pool jacuzzi. I did the gym. I came home. I laid low all day. I just finished cleaning the carpets because I love fresh carpet smell in a house. So I have a carpet cleaner, so I enjoy doing it. But hey man, everything is good. I know people seeing my pictures from this weekend, being pimp, going for my facial, looking good in the hood, just trying to be me, you know what I mean?
Well, what's cold down there? Like, what's your temperature?
48, 50.
Okay.
Like when it hits
it's like 17 up here.
Yeah, but you're 17. We're always in the 80s and 90s. So when we get down to the 50s and 40s, it's freezing. And it's the heat is on and everything in this house.
I'm playing it for you, Vito.
Stop
All
it.
right. Well, are you ready to talk about some wrestling?
Yeah, I know you got some great topics for this week. Go ahead.
So let's just start off with, and I knew this was going to happen at some point, but I feel like it's happening in a weird way. Now I'm going to ask you the question here. Should AEW let more wrestler contracts expire? We know they have a lot of talent, and there's only so much TV time. And when I say TV time, we got Dynamite on Wednesday nights, Rampage on Friday nights. They have their pay-per-views, and they do like multiple YouTube shows, and it's like 3-hour episodes. And so I don't know if you want to pay talent to be like the amount of talent that they have to do those kind of things. So we're seeing wrestlers like rumored to let be leaving soon. Lio Rush, Brian Cage, and I noticed those are the guys that aren't being used, and they're not in that like inner Tony Khan, Dave Meltzer work rate type thing. So it's probably for their AEW's best interest to stop paying wrestlers they're not going to utilize. And I don't want wrestlers, like, I'm not saying don't have jobs for them, but then at least they can have an opportunity to go to another company where they can be on TV. Like, what do you think about all this?
All right.
I knew it was going to happen.
You mentioned Lio Rush and Brian Cage. Okay.
Yeah, Lio Rush literally said, my contract's ending in February. Like, he announced it.
All right. Now, what has Lio Rush done for the wrestling business?
That ridiculous spot where he kicked out and no-sold like the Canadian Destroyer powerbomb through tables. And then the little thing where he was Lashley's mouthpiece for a couple minutes.
He's been there for a cup of coffee. What has he done in the wrestling business that justifies him having a contract? Can he draw you money? The answer is no, because he's out of WWE. They're not renewing him in AEW. So what does that tell you? He's a non-player, right? No disrespect.
Remember he retired because of an injury and then he came back? So, like, this is all weird with him. And remember he spoke up about Swole and that whole controversy with Tony Khan. And then he came out like, oh, Tony and I talked about it. Everything's good. Now he's announcing his contract.
When you have all that controversy and you come from WWE and you have controversy, you come to the next place and you have controversy, that means thank you for coming. Greatly appreciate it. Go find work elsewhere.
But what I'm saying, Vito, is Swole and Tony Khan. Remember where Tony Khan said, Swole's like, you're not diverse enough. And Tony Khan's like, oh, we're diverse, plenty diverse over here. You're just not a good wrestler. And then Lio Rush was one of the wrestlers that like stepped in and said, are you kidding me? And then he came back a couple days later and said, oh, Tony and I talked about it. We're all right. I'm going to work with Tony and we're going to get, we're going to help build AEW being diverse. And now this.
Hold on. He is going to help Tony Khan make AEW diverse. What market value does Lio Rush have that he's going to, me and Tony, since when you call him Tony?
I am not justifying Lio Rush like having any value in going. What I'm saying is Tony Khan is right there in the middle of this controversy again, because there's a wrestler that's going to be leaving, whether he has value or not, that was caught up in this controversy with Big Swole, and there obviously isn't going to be any plans for him. So now what's Tony Khan going to say? Oh, you're not a good wrestler, Lio Rush. That's why I didn't resign you. So again, Tony Khan has to be careful, right? He
You
just needs
already
to
know what he's going to say,
he
right?
needs to shut up.
The standard WWE answer: we have nothing for you. The
That's
door
what
is
he should
always
say.
open.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's going to
Same
happen.
with Brian Cage. Like there
Brian
shouldn't
Cage.
be, like even if the wrestlers are like bad mouthing you, like because that's what happened with Swole saying they weren't diverse enough. Tony Khan just needs to say, well, she's entitled to her opinion, but we're just, we don't have any plans for her, and we wish her luck wherever she goes. And he can't quite do that. He needs to point out, well, I let your contract expire because you're not a good wrestler. Like, that's part of my thing here, Vito. Like, I knew, you and I both did, that AEW is going to have to let wrestlers go. But, like, Tony Khan does need to be more graceful with it, even if said wrestlers are bad-mouthing his company, because he needs to just take the better approach, like, good luck in your future endeavors, like you just said.
You don't
That's what I feel.
argue with the boss in public. You don't do it. You don't acknowledge any controversy with the boss in public.
What if the boss created that controversy, though? See, that's the thing. Vince McMahon doesn't do this stuff. I'm literally pinpointing Tony Khan as being an unprofessional owner. So and if you're saying that no matter what, Lio Rush needs to bite his tongue, then I'm okay with that.
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
You never put the boss on the spot in the public eye to where he's going to look the fool. It's just like a regular job. Virtue, you have a very prominent job. You have an educated job. You have an articulate job, right? Say the news comes and they want to praise your boss and you're talking about stuff, but you have a different opinion about how the company should be run when they're looking to give your company an award. Would your boss appreciate that? No. What is he going to tell you? Listen, we tightened up our workload. We really don't have enough to keep you on board. We're going to let you go. We'll give you unemployment. I'll see you. Brian Cage, when your wife is fighting your battles on social media, knocking the company, knocking this, knocking that, it's definitely the wrong move, right? The old school saying, wives and girlfriends and family do not belong in the business. They don't belong in the back. They don't belong in the dressing room. They don't belong. This is the reason why. And when you have so much talking and people talking and they don't know what they're talking about because they're not in the building or in the arena or in the inn, how do they know what they're saying?
Rebby does that a lot with Matt. You notice?
Yeah, but Matt Hardy's on a different platform because Matt Hardy could retire, walk away. He's going to be fine, right? He don't need AEW. All these other guys need the platform. He doesn't, right? So when you look at it, Brian Cage, he went to Impact. He didn't like it there. Wasn't a big enough star. They gave him a chance with Taz here. That didn't work out. He's been fluttering ever since. So where do you go? And then when his wife goes, yeah, my husband's a big star. If your husband was a big star, they would have signed him an Impact and gave him a triple contract not to let him go.
And I think there's going to be more, right? Maybe the ones that bring in controversy, like Joey Janela. I don't think they'll re-sign him.
Remember one thing. They lost $8 million this year. They have to cut the budget.
Yep. And all those fans of AEW, criticize WWE for doing that because they make so much money. Well, I mean, even companies that make a lot of money are entitled to run their budgets however they want to. And here AEW looks like they're going to have to let some wrestlers go, not just by not renewing their contracts, right? So they're giving those wrestlers the opportunity to go work elsewhere. That's the way I look at it. I knew it was coming, though. And you expect anybody particular to be leaving AEW? Any big names? Like, what about like a Chris Jericho when contract is up?
But you don't hear a peep from these guys. So they all know the game. They're all sitting there collecting their checks, shutting their mouths, agreeing with Tony Khan. He's the best. Everything is cool. Everything.
But at
As
some
for,
point, do you expect any of those guys that are a little more professional there to leave, to want to just whether they retire, want to go back to
but here's the
WWE?
thing. But here's the thing. You already went to WWE. You cut your losses from WWE because you weren't happy there. You came over here. You pronounced all these big things. You shit on the company. You did this. You did that. Did the other thing. Now you're going to go back with your tail between your legs to WWE. Oh, it's great to be back. I can't believe it. Oh my God. They're going to make a fool of you and make you eat humble pie and shove it so far up your ass that it's going to come out your mouth. Your sister's going to taste it. That's how bad it's going to
I
be.
will still call, even with that said, that before his career is over, Jericho will have one more run in WWE. I just it's maybe he's got a weird relationship with Vince McMahon, but that one I will call. But you know what, Vito? Here's what we have. We're starting to get AEW people moving on, right? That work there and they're going on, and we're going to get some big names at some point, and we'll have to see. You know, that's how business runs, right?
That's it.
Well, and I just the fans that think everybody can flock to AEW and work, okay, maybe initially to build up a roster, but Tony Khan, if he's good at what he does, he's going to sift out not re-sign the wrestlers that aren't making him any money. And I think we're now at that point, which is step one, right? Shed some people off the roster. Then maybe it'll be interesting to see if there's some bigger names that you would have never expected to leave because everything was hunky dory, but they did anyway. And I just basically want to say, Vito, it's the wrestling business. This stuff happens. It's always
No,
happened.
for
Wrestlers
sure.
come and wrestlers go. Real quick, then, before we move to WWE talk, did we talk about Moxley at all on the sit down?
Nope.
He came back on Dynamite, and did you see his promo? I want to ask you. So he basically came out and cut a promo. A fan said something to him. I can't remember what it was. He literally swore on cable television, and it made it. He told the fan to go F off. He seemed very quirky, like he does. Remember the Stone Cold podcast? He was happy to be back. This is what he wants to do. He just looked a little stressed to me. Big deal coming back from what he came back from. Is he ready? Is it time? Or it was like 3 months. I feel like it was a little too soon. What do you think?
Guys, I was going to say this is what's on Vito's mind but I'm going to bring it out since you brought it up now.
And this will combine that then.
We'll combine it.
Yeah.
First off, this man, when he went into rehabilitation, and I said when he went into rehabilitation, that it was nobody's business, and Tony Khan didn't need to make it public because it was like, oh yeah, he's going to rehabilitation. Are you paying for it, Tony? I think the WWE footed the bill for this, if I'm not mistaken. Apology. There's been a lot of controversy over if he owed the people an apology.
Bully Ray said that too.
Some people said that he owed an apology, and some people said he didn't. My opinion, this is my opinion. You gotta take care of yourself. Why do you owe the people an apology if you're sick? If you get cancer, do you apologize for being sick? If you get diabetes, do you apologize? If you get a back injury, do you apologize, right? This man, I said, even with Daniel Bryan, with his concussions and like his convulsions and everything, when he stopped wrestling and came back, did he apologize? No. He's taking care of his health. Why should you apologize for taking care of yourself if you have a sickness or you have demons? I don't understand that, right?
And I don't think Punk apologized either, did he? For being off for 7 years because that's what he wanted to do.
But I'm not, and this is not mentioning nobody's name. This is not mentioning anybody out there. This is Vito LaGrasso. Okay. Some people feel that he owed an apology to the fans. 99% said no, right? I'm with the 99%. When you jump on a bandwagon like Mick Foley, after it's all said and done, when he didn't say anything, and you know I love to bash Mick Foley because
I was
he's
gonna
a
say
bandwagon,
there's a name drop.
right? He's a bandwagon jumper. Yeah, I don't think that he needed to apologize. But if AEW wants me to come back and endorse him, I'll come back and help out the company. You could be sure of that. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfuckers. No, we don't need you. Give the man a break. He's got a wife. He's got a child. He took care of himself. Guys, he owes nobody nothing. If he would have walked away from wrestling, does he owe you an apology for walking away from wrestling?
No,
No.
those fans aren't owed anything. No.
So this is not disrespecting the fans. This is not disrespecting the people who have opinions. This is Vito LaGrassa's opinion. In my opinion, he didn't need to apologize. He just needed to come back, say thank you for your support. I greatly appreciate it. I'm back in the ring. Let's get to some action. And that's it.
And for like my standpoint, like I'm glad he's back if he wants to be back and he's happy. I'm sure everything now is better for him, his family. Uh, I maybe wish he would have took some more time. Like, right? I'm on the opposite spectrum. I'm not one of those fans. Oh, you owe me an apology for not being there and entertaining me. I'm thinking you could have took a whole year off if that's what you needed. And I wish you would have took more time. That's all I basically said, Vito. So good on Moxley either way.
That
Now, before we get to the main event, which will be something about WWE, Vito, I'm looking at wrestlers here, and I see how NXT 2.0, today's wrestlers, how NXT
right,
2.0 is handling it, how
right.
it was done the Triple H way. I look at AEW, and overall in the wrestling business in 2022, even though there are some, I don't see gimmicks anymore. I see wrestlers. Now, I feel like Vince McMahon is trying to do that, maybe forcing it with NXT 2.0. You being a wrestler that has had gimmicks,
Mhm.
that still has a place. Am I wrong or right on that for 20?
It
I
does.
think that
It
should be
does have a place. You need
go
characters.
ahead. What's your thoughts on that? Because I feel it should be a massive overhaul. Like, don't make a crappy gimmick, but I think more wrestlers should have something behind them to get casual fans interested, to make them more interesting than just what they do between the ropes. What's your take on that? Like, I'm pro gimmick. I would be 100% gimmick if possible. I know some wrestlers it doesn't. Their gimmick is themselves. But what do you think?
I think the way to be successful for gimmicks is if you let the person go on their personality and get their interest to what they believe in, what impersonations they do, who they like, what are they into, because then they'll be more invested in what they're doing. Then it'll be more successful, right? Now, when you talk about Skull Von Crusher German, we were still in the gimmick era where you had to have a gimmick to get in to the Fed or WCW because that's what people wanted to see, a gimmick. So I did a German gimmick, but then when there was a change to Big Vito, I got to be myself from Staten Island, New York, Vito the Skull Grasso. I'll kick your fucking face in. And it was just me being a tough guy from Staten Island, right? Then when the gimmick came back into play and I had the dress, it was all the years of work and knowledge and hard work and understanding what the business was to put the dress into effect and going in my mind, what do I do? Okay, let's do this. Let's do
Yep.
that. On the fly. This was not practiced. This was not anything. It was like, go do it. Being a professional like I was, I figured it out. I lived it. And you got the results.
And the people were into it, Vito. They didn't get bored when you were out
Mhm.
there. The crowd was engaged, whether you were making them cheer or making them boo.
The
And
vignettes were
yeah,
priceless.
and WCW, you had a ton of them. And
Right.
money, man. That's entertainment. That's how I want to see my. I know there's fans out there that want wrestling, right? So they look at wrestlers as the real names. But like you can, like you said, you can incorporate that into your gimmick and
Right.
entertain a wider variety of people. And I think that's how it should be. So you using yourself as that example from Skull Von Crush to Big Vito to Vito in the dress was a perfect example, Vito. So like you and I knew you'd be on board with that, but I just wanted to ask you that so you could reiterate that to the people who might be watching this that think, well, we need to be all about wrestling, and they can go out by their real name. You know.
That's it. You know,
All right.
hey,
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah.
when you like the greatest thing about the dress was I get to meet a whole bunch of people going shopping. Like women would help me and
Yeah.
people would help me. The stairs for men, going into a bar, going into Nashville, singing on stage, going to a gym, working out in the dress, boxing in a gym, walking the streets of New York. The one thing I had to have was confidence, a confidence in myself as a man, knowing I said, 1-on-1, I can handle myself. 2-on-1, I can handle myself. 5 against 1, I might get my ass kicked, but I'm taking somebody with me, you know? And it wasn't anything that I was being arrogant about, but it was just the way it was. And you accepted it because that's how the culture of wrestling was. It's not the same culture anymore.
Yeah. And it seems like it doesn't draw as well. I mean, overall, but at least domestically. I know WWE is a worldwide thing now, and they sacrificed a lot here in the US to gain global, but whatever. Now, Vito, speaking of WWE, we know who their current main event scene is, right? I mean, Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and you got Becky and Charlotte for the women. And
Right.
we could go on with a few more, but it's kind of like very, very, there's not much, right? It's the same top stars. And Vince is churning now. Vince McMahon. I don't know him, so I don't know why I called him Vince. But Vince McMahon is churning because of the way he's doing NXT now. And I want to pick your brain. And maybe there's somebody that's not there, but right now, but could be. Who are the next main eventers for WrestleMania, or for just WWE in general? But that would be pushed eventually to that WrestleMania main event. I mean, we see like the Braun Breaker, right? Which is a Steiner. We know they signed a gold medalist, Gable Steveson, who's under Brock Lesnar's wing. Is that going to be lightning in a bottle like Kurt Angle again? Austin Theory on TV is getting pushed, being on screen with Vince McMahon. Is there any potential to get, and who do you think? And maybe and I can't even think of a female, but they need new WrestleMania main eventers. Where are we at here with this for WWE?
0.
But right now, you're right. But could there be anything? Is there anything you've seen
diamond in
the
rough? You know what the WWE misses? They miss bringing the veterans in to give these guys the rub and let them be the managers of these guys. People will watch because they want to see the protege of so-and-so, the protege of so-and-so. Just like everybody tags me with Tony D'Angelo. They say that is a money-making thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I come on, we do our thing, you know what I mean? If I was with him, he could jump to SmackDown and be effective. Him alone is not going to make it out of NXT. He's going to, you could tell who needs help, right? Braun Breaker. Now,
I mean, it's early, but
it's early.
We don't even know. He could go to a main roster and fizzle out like Karrion Kross and
But
Keith
that's
Lee.
the whole thing I'm talking about. Like the guy's going to go up there and fizzle. And that Karrion Kross, a beautiful wife, he had the entrance to that. But when they put him by himself, remember I always said some people are singles and some people are a group. That kid was a group. He wasn't a single.
Now that was under like the Triple H NXT. Could this be different with this new version? If indeed, like Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, and the management of WWE has more fingerprints on this, could that mean like a Braun Breaker would have more of a shot once he gets there because of the behind the scenes? You know what I mean? I don't know. I guess we're gonna have to wait.
What they're missing is having the guys come in and pairing them off with them. Who's the guy who had the guitar? Um,
Elias.
Elias.
And he's nowhere to be
You
found
you
right now.
said that gimmick, that guy, body good. Here comes the honky tonk man. You gotta be this. You gotta be that. Go in there. Be the greatest of all time. I used the honky tonk man because he was another guitar player. Jeff Jarrett, he used it, but he didn't play it. But when you talk about the honky tonk man, right? You look at a Braun Breaker, right? If Greg the Hammer Valentine was in shape and he can go and he could do stuff, I don't know his capabilities right now. But if you took a Greg the Hammer Valentine and put him with Braun Breaker and Greg Valentine was his manager, you
What
talking
about Rick or Scott? And I know Scott had heat with WWE.
they
No?
they're not manager types, they're main
Okay.
event types. But not saying that Greg Valentine
Mhm.
wasn't a main event guy. Greg Valentine was the Arnold Skaaland, Freddie Blassie, Lou Albano type.
Mhm.
So you're talking about he could fit in a role like that and be great at it, right? You look at Jake the Snake Roberts; they put him with that Archer kid, fizzled out, nothing. You put on Anderson with Cody Rhodes, it's disgusting. It does nothing.
Sting with Darby Allin.
Sting with Darby Allin. I'm waiting for the feud. I'm
Taz
waiting for
with
the feud.
Brian Cage. I mean, has anything worked?
Guys, you have to make sure you put somebody who's been in the business, who has that nostalgia look that could pair up with a young guy who's similar. I speak of myself because I speak of Tony D'Angelo because there's a good mix there. The people see it. The connection is there. I did it for Nunzio. I did it for Johnny the Bull. I could do it for Tony D'Angelo. It's a proven commodity. Everybody became champion. So that's what you're talking about.
I mean, and they're doing this thing now where they're signing non-wrestlers, like athletes, trying to train them to be wrestlers. And that's the pool they're trying to find their next big stars at too, which is weird. Now, like the Ronda Rousey thing worked out, but for a short term type deal. But man, Vito, I mean, we're gonna have to see what happens the next year or two because they're gonna try, right? And I didn't know if you or I could like peg off somebody, and then a couple years from now, one of us could be like, "Told you so." But my gut feeling, and as I see more pictures on the internet and see more dirt and news, Gable Steveson. I don't know if he can wrestle yet. I don't know if he could work. I don't know if he's got the charisma, but I see that he signed with them. The guy was a gold medalist, right? Vince McMahon. It worked with Kurt Angle, lightning in a bottle, right? It's hard to happen twice, but he's under Brock Lesnar's wing. So that tells me, well, I'm going to watch this guy. I'm going to see because you never know. It looks like they're going to attempt, but we'll have to wait, man. I didn't know if you had a diamond in the rough.
Brock Lesnar is too much in the scene to be coaching or mentoring. Not that it couldn't be translated in TV,
Yeah,
but Kurt Angle coming out with him because he was a manager.
that would be good.
Now you're talking, you're okay, you could do it.
Yeah, that would be excellent. But we'll have to see. I mean, they need top stars, Vito. So if they don't do anything, oh man, wait till these current batch of few main eventers that they have get older. If they don't have anything to fall back on, uh-oh. So that's all I got this week, man. Anything else you want to throw in there?
No, we covered it all. Great show. Thank for everybody in the chat. We greatly appreciate it. Virtue, take it away.
And hey, folks, you can be sure to follow Vito over on Twitter at the Big Vito Brand. You can follow me at NoDQ_virtue. And we do this each and every Sunday night at 8 p.m. right here on the BigVitoBrand.com. And also check out patreon.com/BigVMafia. But for Big Vito, I am Virtue, and this has been Getting Color. We will see you again next time. Thanks for watching and listening.